I want you to imagine a tree that is important to you. Imagine you're sitting beneath the tree, standing there, smelling the air. What do you hear? How do you feel? Would you consider this tree treasured or sacred or important to you? And why? For the past 20 years, I've done research on sacred forests, like this one in Sierra Leone, West Africa. You can see that the area around it is farmland, but somehow that forest patch has survived. Why? Because it's sacred and it's preserved from people that live around it, like this sacred grove in Sierra Leone as well, where I was a Peace Corps volunteer and first learned about sacred forests. They're biocultural conservation, community protected areas that are not protected by the government. They're protected by communities because some communities believe a god lives inside them, or their ancestors are buried in there, or there might be a spring that comes out of the forest. This is from my research in Ghana, another sacred forest. And you can see how big the trees are. There's a community just beyond the forest, and that community protection is saving it. There are rules, there are managers in the community, and there are consequences if you break the rules that the community imposes. This is in Northeast India, where I was a Fulbright scholar studying sacred forests. And this is a very large one, over 200 acres. You can see the abrupt boundary around it. And then there are paths through some of these. You always have to ask permission from the managers if you're allowed to go in. And that one has a lot of orchids in it. This is an interesting one. You see those half circles that are brown. Those are wild beehives. And only certain folks are allowed to go in this forest to collect the honey. This is in southern India. And as one person I interviewed near this forest said, the trees catch the rain. So there's a value for the forest for pollination and water for the farms. This is a southern India sacred grove with a temple inside for the forest god. And I went to festivals. In the south, there are annual festivals for the groves, and interviewed folks at that festival. There's also certain trees that are sacred. The species is sacred. On the left, the cotton tree in Sierra Leone, Ceiba pentandra, and that one folks have meetings under and don't cut it down. And then on the right, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, banyan or Ficus religiosa, sacred tree throughout India. So look at the images on the left and the images on the right. How many of those leaves on the left can you identify? But I bet you can identify all those logos. So we're suffering from some plant blindness, or we just don't have the connection with nature anymore that we might have had as kids, or maybe we didn't have it. So a majestic oak. Oak trees are extra special. They support lots of insects. They support butterflies and moths, and over 500 species. And then the birds that they eat those caterpillars to grow up. Our champion oak of the state of North Carolina is in Wilmington. We all went, or most of us probably in this room went through Hurricane Helene, and we have had a lot of trauma, and some of that is associated with trees. So we have a lot of blowdown, and we're recovering, and we have different relationships with trees now. So I want to encourage you, if you're doing tree work, please use a certified arborist. And also, if you're able to leave trees on the ground, leave them there. They're habitat. As a friend just said to me, there's so much life in a dead tree. So the tree's dead, but it's supporting all these other organisms. And we need that organic matter in our forests, if possible. So think about it. And what about our city? On the left is downtown Asheville. A very small percentage of our city is actually parks. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody could walk to a park within 10 minutes? So that would be a great goal for the city. We always show the city surrounded by green, but in downtown, there's not a lot of tree cover. Which sidewalk would you rather walk on? The hot one with no trees, or the cool one with trees? Both you, residents, and tourists, we can have that cool shade, have our air conditioning bills be lower, and collect stormwater. So something to think about. The reason that it's hotter is what's called an urban heat island. So those built structures and the paved roads absorb heat during the day, and cities are hotter than surrounding areas that have trees. So we get a lot of value from our trees if we keep them or plant more. More things that trees do for us: they reduce flooding, they hold soil in place, the groundwater is absorbed by the roots. And not just trees, but also rain gardens or constructed wetlands, right? As we're recovering from the storm, we really need to even have more green space and more absorption for future floodwaters. Shout out to the Friends of Hominy Creek Greenway for this flyer about invasive species. So with all the damage to our forests, there's a lot of invasive species coming in the new sunlight that was created in the gaps. So one thing you could do to help our local forests is to remove these species when they're in your yard and not buy them, or don't support stores that actually sell them. So is there a beautiful tree in your yard or in your neighbor's yard? A tree that you really treasure and you want to protect and save for future generations? You can nominate this tree to be a treasured tree. This is a program of Asheville Greenworks, shout out. You can scan the QR code to nominate it right now, or you can go on their website later. The Treasured Tree Committee, I'm a member, we will come and deliver a plaque and a certificate to honor your tree. I will assure you the plaques are, with screws we use, are gentle for the tree and they're used by Arboreta, so they're fine. So in conclusion, we need trees. We need more trees. We need to replace the trees that fell. We need to advocate for tree cover in our city and advocate for a cool, green Asheville. Thank you.